Welcome to Blaise the Trail podcast, bringing you authentic and vulnerable stories that will inspire you to breathe fire on this world and become your own hero. Here's your host, Blaise Hunter.
Hello, welcome to Blaise the Trail podcast. I'm Blaise Hunter, and I am a fertility expert. No, I don't help people get pregnant. This is a different type of expertise. I actually inspire people to birth confidence, to birth self-worth, their books, business ideas, dreams, passions, and goals, as well as help them discover peace amongst infertility. After going through my own sets of traumas and tragedies, dealing with a rare disease, and experiencing 3 miscarriages, I decided to take charge of my life and not let life happen to me, but rather become the hero of my own life. I am not barren. I continually birth my purpose every day. So that's why I've created this show, to demonstrate how even though we all experience setbacks and disappointments, we still have a destiny to birth. We just need to blaze the trail and be expecting. This podcast will inspire you to lean into your hardships and allow them to be the vehicle that transports you into becoming the hero of your life so you can breathe fire on this world. This week's episode is called The Money Magnet, and some points we'll cover are: how does fun, bold, and sexy relate to making money? Exploring the magnet mindset, how to step into abundance by owning it. Uncovering the juicy details of our belief systems surrounding money. And I have my friend here, Rosalyn Fung, to speak on this topic. Rosalyn is an intuitive mindset and visionary business coach, international speaker, best-selling author, former psychologist, podcast host, and mastermind and workshop facilitator on topics of self-love, mastering your energy, money mindset, and client attraction marketing. She's a co-author of the international best-selling book, What Self-Love Got to Do with It. Rosalyn has been featured in Huffington Post, CBC Radio, and has spoken for Fearless Women Summits, This Woman Means Business, and Harvard University. As a former psychologist of over 10 years, a second-degree black belt in karate, and a Reiki master, she combines the power of neuroscience, psychology, and spirituality to help you get out of your own way, unapologetically owning your worth, get you aligned with your purpose, and unleash your inner warrior so that you can have the mindset and business strategies and systems to create a successful business. She is an abundance warrior, and her brand is fun, bold, and sexy. Welcome, Rosalyn, to the show.
Hi, love. Thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited to jam with you.
This is so amazing, and I love how connections happen because we both were speakers at the Fearless Women Summit at different years, different times, and somehow through the wonderful world of internet, we connected, had a Zoom call, and poof, we're soul sisters. I love it.
That's right. Here we are. Yes. I love it too.
And I love that you're just like fun, bold, sexy, fierce, warrior, because that's so me as well. So I think we're really aligned in our energy. And I think this is going to be a great conversation to really pull from and dive in deeper to help people in general just step into that warrior mindset and be fierce in whatever pocket of their lives, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, love. And we had set the intention for this to be such a juicy, sacred conversation so that those who are listening are going to receive the downloads that they need to receive, their soul needs to receive to up level to that next level version of themselves.
Absolutely. So, we have a really good look at you from your bio, but tell me more of your backstory and how you transitioned from practicing psychology to where you are now.
Thank you. So yes, I'm going to date it back to the year of June 2008. And picture this. So picture me. Some of you guys don't know who I am. So if I'm new to you, I am a Chinese Asian looking woman. So picture that with this perfect fitness model physique. And I'm standing here on this bodybuilding stage, really tanned, dolled up. My hair is all done. My muscles are popping. And I'm doing my quarter turns. And my life on the outside looks completely perfect. I had just started private practice as a new psychologist, something I had also been working hard for over the last 6+ years. And I was happily, I still am, married to my husband at that time for 3 years. And I was a 2nd-degree black belt in karate and a role model to kids, teens, and adults. So it looks completely perfect on the outside. But behind closed doors was a totally different story, Blaise. I was struggling with food restriction, binge eating, beating myself up, then over-exercising as my form of purging. I felt so guilty for eating all those extra calories and the different kinds of foods that I was not allowed to. And so this had been going on for years, actually, and secretly. And I came on that day on stage, I came in last place. And last place for me confirmed I am not enough. How could I be? I have everything that should make me happy, and on the surface I was happy, but I knew that deep inside there was more to me, because all I could think about was what to eat, when to eat, is my stomach flat enough, and this was absolutely no way to live. And I imagine that some of the women that are listening can relate to this struggle themselves, as body image is such a, I'll call it, like, it's so significant, even to this day, right? Disordered eating and eating disorders. And so, of course, that led me to a breakdown, which then, as a therapist, I was led to learn about this method called Haikomi. And Haikomi means, how do I stand in a relationship with myself? And how do I stand in a relationship with others? So it's a mindfulness approach that combines neuroscience, psychology, and this thing called spirituality. And so of course, when you're learning something, you cannot not work on your own shit. So what I came to realize shortly after that was that I was unconsciously operating from this belief that I am valued in my doingness. So my performance, my achievements, my status, my titles, rather than my beingness, who I am. And my doingness was never enough. So no wonder I was this perfectionist, this overachiever, and I was an absolute hardcore type A masculine-driven woman. And so that breakdown was really a spiritual awakening. And I learned how to slow down, really embrace the art of coming home to myself. I really learned how to embrace perfectly imperfect. So really that breakdown was my spiritual awakening. And so I was so inspired by my own transformation that I got certified in Haikomi, which I still use to this day to help my clients shift their limiting beliefs that sit deep beneath in their unconscious. And it's such a powerful method. And I also at that time got certified in eating psychology, and really shared my story publicly to defy what society sees as body image and ties in with self-worth. And I blogged about this, where I had a before and after photo. The before was me as this perfect fitness model physique, and the after was me 10 months after I gave birth to my first son. So it was a lot softer. I was still healthy looking, but a lot softer. And this got the attention of Huffington Post. So I got published in the Huffington Post, and it's called Not a Typical Fitness Journey. So I knew that there was something greater happening here. I knew that I was really stepping into my purpose at that next level, and really was so on fire that I led many transformational groups for women who struggled in exactly the same way I did with food and body image of all shapes and sizes. And I also worked with men. And so I'm the type of person that gets really inspired by my clients' journeys and their results that I went, what else can I do? So in 2014, I joined a group coaching program. It was actually on mat leave with my second son. And it was a program for speakers to create more impacts in this world. And that led me to be the first psychologist to create in Alberta to create an online program, which is hashtag or lots of red tape. And I knew it was really possible. It's just because nobody here did it before yet doesn't mean you can't do it. And so I figured it out while still being able to stay integrity and to the code of ethics. And this led me to eventually realize that, you know, I really wanted to play a bigger game, and my license was actually holding me back. I didn't know that at some point yet. I just thought, okay, what is going on? Like, I know I can make bigger impacts. I got to find out a bigger way. And I had been really influenced and inspired by my coaching peers in my program. And I eventually hired my very first business coach. So this would have been about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And that was the scariest investment at that point in my life. I was like, oh my God, you know, like this is betting on yourself, because it was like the price of a car at that point in time. And I'm like, okay, I've got to do this. Like, I know my soul's on fire. And so I want you guys to hear, like, when you feel the nudges, follow them. How much are you willing to bet on yourself? Because that's so important. That's so important. The universe will deliver you opportunities, and these opportunities are you need to choose. Are you willing to step up into the unknown, step outside of your comfort zone? And so it wasn't easy, my loves, trust me. And so I started a coaching business on the side. I continued my private practice as a therapist. And at some point, I realized I couldn't keep going this way to have both businesses. And I was realizing that how I wanted to really show up was more aligned with coaching. And as a coach, I was really like attracting women entrepreneurs at that time, and which was my surprise, because I was a self-love coach and I wanted to continue with the body image and self-love coaching. But women entrepreneurs are coming to me, and really it's always the foundation of how I work is about self-worth and self-love and belief in yourself and being unapologetic. So with that, I started noticing that clients or women were coming to me and asking me and knowing what I've done, because I've spoken about it on stages, and they said, hey, like, I love your confidence. I love what you've done and created for yourself. Can you help me get out of my own way and play a bigger game? I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, I had known, because I've been in business for so long, even as a therapist, I've known how to build a business. And so it was an easy transition for me to move into become a business coach. And I continued to do my own work. I continued to do my spiritual growth. And through that, it's led me to become a spiritual business coach. So at some point, I did realize the license was holding me back. And it was not easy. This was the hardest decision in my life to take the leap of faith. I was really scared. I took about 6 months to decide, even make a decision and fight my inner critic. And what my inner critic would say, and this might be helpful for some people to hear, so you know that you're not alone, and it's totally normal this comes up. It's just trying to protect you. But it would sound really logical, like, you know, Roz, you make really good money as a psychologist, and what if you fail in your new business? Like, you're half responsible for your family. You've got young kids. Is this really the time to do something as crazy as this? And then it would say something like, oh my God, you're actually going to demote yourself from a psychologist to just a coach. You know, anybody can be a coach. It's not a regulated profession. But ego is really big. And then my inner critic would say, who's going to pay for your services when you're not covered under benefits anymore? Okay, maybe my ego wasn't that big. So, and then even though like all the proof and evidence was happening that people were paying, and seeing me, and I was making more money as a coach, I was more fulfilled because I was just like, holy moly, I get to bring in all parts of me. I get to talk about business too, which I get so jazzed about. Like my inner critic was so loud and it was driving the bus. And the biggest one that was really hard was, are you willing to risk disapproval from your Asian parent, especially your dad? In our culture, it's very emphasized that you have this high status profession and you do really, really well. You have a certain status in life. And so, that was really hard for me. In fact, my dad couldn't understand for a while. And the worst thing happened. I could sit in it because I've done enough work to see like it wasn't about me, but he really projected his anxiety and fears onto me. And at some point in time, I won't go into details on this one. I do in my podcast, but my dad stopped talking to me for a while, and like the worst that could have happened. And now, fast forward, my dad is like one of the biggest supporters and cheerleaders because he sees the impacts I'm creating. I'm literally standing in my dream, something that I never thought was possible even just 4 years ago, where I have a very fulfilling business and abundant business in all forms. I'm working with clients that I'm just like, holy shit, more of this universe. I just love that my clients love paying me. I love working with these clients. I can't believe I get paid for with working with people like this. I get to give back even more because the more money I have, the more money I can contribute to in the world. I have more time freedom. And life, no, it's not perfect. Of course I'm human. And I honestly can say that it took me 3 years to get to this place of super flow. And we'll probably talk more about this, Blaise, and how I got here in terms of like mindset and, elevating our vibrations, because I love jamming on that. But honestly, those of you who are listening and you're feeling like you're doubting yourself, you're comparing yourself, feel like you're a fraud, imposter syndrome, know that anything is possible, and where you put your energy, or your attention, is where your energy flows. So this is about you creating your own reality. Anything is possible.
I love that. And I love you taking us through that journey and that thought process, because I think we need more encouragement to talk about that journey, not just the cliff notes, not just the bullet points or the highlights, like what transpired. And I love that because I also had body image issues, and that's what my book is about, and my journey. And, for such a long time, I was like, it's just me. Like, I just think this way. But the more I've talked about it and connected, and I'm sure with you too, is that we're realizing every woman struggles with self-confidence, with body images, self-esteem, with their identity. And because this world has put such an importance on body, on that being the measure of your worth, of your beauty, of your purpose, that we put all our energy into our physical bodies rather than our soul muscles, right? And so, but you're out there and then you're realizing, and we all have these moments where we're like every skinny person would have a good self-image if that was the key, right? Just being skinny and fit, but they're not. And they're almost, the more skinny and fit you get, if you haven't worked on the image, on the inner image, then it's almost a worse kind of image that you have of yourself. Because many people think, oh, if you're skinny, you have good self-image. It's like, nah, like we all struggle, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so instead of these masks of like bodybuilding and skinny and whatever we put out to put the mask that we've got it put together, your career, wherever we put that mask on, then we don't actually work on like being flawed and imperfectly perfect, right? We work on the mask, and it's so much more important to be real and flawed than portray fake perfection. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And I feel like that's part of being a magnet, to magnetize more soul tribe into your life, in your personal life, into your professional life, is your ability to be real and relatable. And how we do that through our flaws and to show we are imperfect beings. And because everybody can relate with that. Nobody can relate with perfectionism. And when we have masks, people feel that. They can feel like, something's like a little bit off. Like I'm not quite feeling like I'm really connecting with this person. And so that actually can repel people.
Yeah.
We're trying to be too perfect. And when we're too much in our own heads. And I love that concept of masks, because all of us, I've had tons of masks in the past, and I'm still continuing to learn, be like, what are the masks, like, what are my blind spots, right? And I do realize at the core of everything, which is why I'm like obsessed with personal and spiritual development, is like being able to release any blind spots. And we can only know and learn about our blind spots when we're in relationship. And people give us feedback, and when I say relationship, I mean like a coaching relationship or a group coaching, bigger context like that, where it's set up so that you can see your belief system coming up. I think it's deeply valuable so that we can see, how you do one part of your life is how you do all parts of your life. So where is this showing up, and how is it supporting me or not?
Yes. And like redefining what all of these labels and all of these meanings mean for you as an individual. They're unique for each of us, but we also have to realize, like, what are our strengths, what are we amazing at, and also what are the little flaws, so then we can meld it together and own it unapologetically, like you said. And like we often use these masks or armor to protect ourselves, because we've been hurt, we feel lacking, not good enough, we have struggles in that area, so we put the armor on and create this image, but it's not real. And then it causes pressure to keep up with this image when we're really still not happy. And, we think about the words fun, bold, and sexy. I can't be fun. I lose control. I need control because I'm so out of control on this other front. And so I can't be that fun, right? Or bold. What does bold mean? Like, bold means risk, and good little girls aren't supposed to be risk takers. We're supposed to be safe and put together. And like sexy means slutty. So I can't be sexy. I'm a mother. And we have these illusions around these lingos and these words. But like, I love how you incorporate this and change the definition of it and incorporate it into business. So let's, talk about it. This is your brand. How do you allow those characteristics to become a positive and relate to money?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, I just love how you put all that together. So yeah, it's my vibe. Fun, bold, sexy. People feel that. And it's so I wanted to define that a little bit more. So fun is, I walk people through my personal signature system, which is exactly this. So it's, the fun part is really about, it's that foundation. So because of my limiting belief that I was operating on, I am valued in my doingness rather than my beingness, and my doingness was never enough. Now my mission is to support others to be, do, have. So we are being who we are, all fully expressed, and so like a lot of my clients, when they first come to see me, there's some that are scared to put themselves out there. And then there's some that are scared to put certain parts of them out there. And I certainly actually not too long ago, as I'm leveling up, I can actually speak light language. So this is a good example. So light language is a language that only your soul can understand. It's quite out there. And I was like, okay, I know I have this gift, but like, are people going to think this is like weird? Am I going to scare people off? Like, I don't even know how to use this gift, even though I knew it just has a healing component. It has an activating component. I'll talk more about that in a bit, but I was really scared. My whole point is I was really scared to put myself out there for fear of what other people would think. And so the fun is all about embracing all of who you are and fully expressing that, because that, and then also building in the business systems and strategies to support more of that ease and flow into place. Aligning with your branding and messaging, I help people leverage social media. So how to use social media so that you can build organic following So not paid leads. And then the sexy is all about your magnetism. I am on a mission to redefine sexy, as I know you are, Blaise. So sexy is not about what you look like or what you wear. It's your vibe. It's your ability to really own your own power and own your value, so your self-worth, which is different than self-confidence. They don't work hand in hand. So if you go think about my story, I was really confident. It's about your ability to do things and belief in yourself to do things really well. I was really confident. But self-worth is about the value you hold of yourself. I had very low self-worth back then. And now, today, I have tons of self-worth. And my confidence, it depends. Am I confident to speak in front of a huge crowd? Yes. Am I confident to cut my kids' hair? Oh, hell no. Like, don't even give me scissors. Like, my kids' hair grew during COVID. I'm like, you guys, your hair is growing. But am I confident to learn? Yeah, sure. So it's related to the activity itself. They're separate. And I think a lot of people get confused about those two and mix them up as the same thing. Sexy is all about your self-worth. It's all about you owning your money story, meaning knowing, I really want you to know that money, abundance comes in all forms. And abundance is your birthright, including the form of money. We have a lot of money stories, and that also relates then to, as an entrepreneur, your ability to ask for money, to receive money, to keep money, to play with money, to have fun with money, if we're so constricted and limited in our beliefs around money. So I really love helping my entrepreneurs really manage their energy and their mindset in this sexy pillar, because the more you open up, the more expansive you are, the more comes to you that's aligned with your big vision dream. And then also I help my entrepreneurs, they're often speakers or wannabe speakers, so we really help them figure out the signature story that's going to help them convert bring more leads in and then convert those leads. So it's like a speaking and selling formats, and it's really fun, soulful selling. And then bold is literally putting yourself out there, literally taking the courageous action. Confidence in this arena only comes from taking courageous action. So that's where we put your messaging out there on social media. That's where you come on stage and you speak, or Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives, but you really put yourself out there so you become even more visible. And we can have a quiet boldness. It's related to who you are authentically. Okay, so I hope that gives a good sense of my personal.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're really helping us, like we had talked about, is like redefining what those words mean. And then you dipped into like how our belief systems surrounding money. And that's totally true, because we all have these mentalities around money, whether they're positive or negative. We all have been ingrained from childhood, your belief system around financial security or finances or money in general. And it's amazing to see. And then, like, I'm sure you've noticed too, like, I see so many amazing, talented, educated, fierce people in this world. They've got all the courses, all the education, all the marketing and branding, but aren't making money. And so do you think that's partly because of that belief system surrounding these words, bold, sexy, fun, as well as money in general? Do you think it's because we have an attitude towards these words that we're not really seeing the fullest potential in our lives come to fruition?
Yeah, I think that might be some people's story. So it's like looking at, because under the umbrella of money, there's the aspects of what is your relationship with money. And then there's also another aspect around what is your relationship with selling, right? Selling could be a really dirty word.
Yeah.
It can be, I really had to work through my own stuff.
Me too. I think of car salesmen initially, right?
Yeah.
So that was my initial, like, if I'm selling, I'm a used car salesman. That kind of, pressure tactic, right? Like, and that was my attitude, and I had to change that. So I can totally get what you feel about that, right? Like your attitude.
and I actually had a traumatic experience. My very first conscious memory of selling was when I was like 8. I can't remember if I was like 8, 9, or 10, but I remember sitting in this office with my parents on vacation, and they were dragged into a timeshare meeting privately, and I was, reading their book or whatever, and then all of a sudden, the sales woman and man, like, you were yelling, like you could feel the energy and the tension in the room. They were literally yelling at my parents. They were like really like leaning into my parents, and my parents, I could see them like leaning back and looking terrified. Like, I was traumatized, and I could see like they were like feeling pressure to buy this timeshare package, and they caved in. And then after that, I saw my mom like argue with my dad. She was getting mad at him for caving in. And that was my very first traumatic experience. I was so scared. I was crying. I wanted to get out of there. And I had to work through a lot of that so that I don't also see selling as salesy and gross, pressury, because yuck, right? Nobody wants that. And so that's what I teach today. But I also feel like when it comes to, perhaps not making money, sometimes, and this is common too, so for those listeners, just to check in, are you playing small? Because if you were to play bigger and you were to actualize your next level dream, whose toes would you step on? What relationships would change? So would that be maybe your spouse, right? Maybe there's a belief that you can't make more money than your spouse. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, look at your home life. What were the messages? Could it be then your parents would like that? Would you'd be overstepping something there? Could it be, you putting you in that position of being so uncomfortable that now people are going to think you think that you're better than them? So there's a lot of emotional risk involved. If we really look at our unconscious beliefs and look at our family system and how it really transpires. And once you realize that, and those are just stories that we've told ourselves because they helped us survive and growing up, so they're not wrong. They're not right. They're not good. They're not bad. I don't look at things that way. It's more about, it did serve you? Does it continue to serve you now? Yeah, and so the analogy I'd love to look at is when it comes to limiting beliefs, it's like, think about it like a life jacket that you create when you were a young kid, 5 years old. This happens on a subconscious level, and you learned all these ways to show up, these strategies to go into relationship with people so that you could survive and be rewarded. And so these happen on very minute, subtle levels unconsciously. And so now it's like this life jacket at this age isn't going to fit anymore. So it's time to release that life jacket and go for your dreams.
I love that. I love how you're all explaining it. And yes, it doesn't mean it's bad, good, right, wrong. It's being reflective and understanding how we feel about things and asking those internal questions and having that dialogue within ourselves. And we're not trained in this day and age to have that dialogue. We don't even think about it consciously of how we feel about money. And I find money can be dirty topic and uncomfortable. And I'm like, let's pull back the curtain on that. Why is it so uncomfortable? Why isn't it out in the open? Like, we shouldn't feel bad to talk about money, wages, what you expect. Like, it should be more of a conversation and a topic that is easily flowed and intertwined in our lives, and just explaining to ourselves of how I feel and why do I feel that way? And like, I'm an advocate and an activist, and I'm grown up in a Christian home, and often like you're having that mentality, like doing God's work, doing activism is met with not being rich. Like, how it's met, like you have to, give that up for the cause. And I'm like, why do we think that way? Like, why can't I be rich and abundant and wealthy and still do it for a cause, right?
I know, right? And you know what? I think it dates back to history and just like how people in power had money, and not always were those people in power doing good with that money. And they were actually, being corrupted, doing corruption and being, so not doing good for the greater good and the greater of society. And so my sense is like, just even, then there's such a hierarchy. Like if you make a certain amount of money, like you're considered more powerful or better than. And I think it's really like dismantling that and just shifting, not just, I mean, it's a big job, shifting into the different energy that money is sacred. And if you're a good person and you have more money, you're just going to do more good with it.
Yeah.
And
I think bad. You're not a bad person to choose the money route. It's whatever resonates with you, right? Like.
And if you're a bad person and you have lots of money, you're going to do bad things with it. It's more of an internal thing. So you're not going to change who you are because you have more money. You get to do more good with it. You get to give back more. You get to imagine what you would do. And I think that's the other piece is a lot of times there's a pattern where perhaps you can get money, but it's hard to keep it. So there's this impulse like, oh my God, I have more money than I am used to in my bank account. Oh my gosh, now I gotta spend it. And it can be a very unconscious thing, so that you're attracting, subconsciously you think I'm only good enough for this amount of money. And anything over that, it makes me so uncomfortable. So I'm going to give it away. I'm going to spend it impulsively. And this is a very unconscious process. So anybody that's listening is going, those are my behaviors. I want you to look at that and create a new neural pathway, a new belief system that you can level up your income brackets. You can expand your space for more money. And what would you do with that money? So, you can invest, you can save, you can donate, you can do all these things. And I don't think it's or. It's like you can do all these things all together. You can spend all yourself. You absolutely are worthy. And I hate the word guilty pleasure because I will not ever pair. I think that's also a thing that we need to diminish. Is pairing guilt with pleasure. Yeah. Because it is all about indulging in things that give you so much pleasure without the freaking guilt. We have desires that the human need, feeling, and I think it's very normal. We have desires and we have pleasures, and we're allowed to feel good. We are allowed to feel good. It is our birthright to feel good. And that is also, I feel like, another limiting belief that people have. Is we don't allow ourselves to feel good. We need to lower when we elevate our energy, we're like, oh yeah, okay, but it was just this one time. And then we make decisions from a lower vibe place. No, your new minimal standard is that place of elevated pleasure, is that place of desire. And so you've got to decide, how am I going to continue living in this place? But if you have a belief that you're not worthy of this and this is just something that you're not allowed to have, you're going to lower your vibe and you're going to go back to your comfort zone, right?
It could be another extreme too, it's all about the money, right? We got to look at our mentality of the other angle as well, where I see people and it's just money, 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 money. And I'm like, money is so important, but is it everything, or is it a byproduct of your passions and who you are? And, so sometimes shifting the mentality of money and how we feel about it to getting back to the core of what we're doing it for, and therefore being accepting of money, but not let it be the ultimate priority, because is that the goal, or is it to follow where my destiny lies, and therefore I accept what is the byproduct of that, right? So it's like finding that nice, and I don't like even the word balance, but it is somewhat of honing in the two extreme mentalities surrounding money, isn't it?
Yeah, money flow is how I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, I've met people who are multimillionaires and they have the same problems, money can solve problems, right? And so it's all internal work. They've got their normal human beings too who have their own shit. So money doesn't create happiness, right? Fulfillment comes from stepping inside your comfort zone. So it comes from growth plus contribution, so giving back in whatever way that is, and I always like to emphasize is showing up and sharing your gifts with the world. Of course, there's also the giving back of donation, of volunteering and giving your time. Absolutely.
Love, faith, everything. Yeah.
I really believe we all here are here with a soul purpose, and it's living in your purpose. That's a contribution piece as well. It's your sacred responsibility to live in your purpose, and also having faith. And so when I say having faith, I mean knowing that there's something greater than beyond yourself, whether, that is the universe, that is God, that is whatever you don't have to have a certain faith to believe in, but just to know that, the energy of the collective as a whole, there's something there. Look for synchronicities, look for signs, and the universe is always here to support you. You just need to be open for the guidance.
You need to have that mindset, because I'm a Christian and I believe in God's divine purpose for me, but I also know I have a responsibility to get my mindset right, to meet that destiny and that purpose, right? So let's talk a little bit about having that monetizing and mindset, that magnet mindset of, honing in, because we can also be repellents. So it's a push-pull. You need to know where you're, are you being a magnet for good or for the negative, right? And you have to have a conscious effort to do it, right?
Yes. Okay, so the magnetizing mindset. So being magnetizing is a vibe. It's an energy. So I want you to think about somebody in your life who you're just like, oh my gosh, I love and adore this person so much. Think about somebody in real life, so not a celebrity. What is it about that person that you really feel attracted to energetically? Okay. And it's usually because they are caring, they have empathy, they're compassionate, they're open-minded, they're supportive, they're loving, all those beautiful characteristics that we love in a person. And then you can think about somebody in your life where you're like, frig, I'm so freaking drained by this person. And think about and this is no judgment, okay? This is absolutely no judgment, because, we all have aspects like this in ourselves, and this is about managing that. So that person that feels really draining, usually they're probably takers versus being a giver, right? We need to have a balance of both. But they're usually taking. Maybe they only talk about themselves. Maybe put other people down. They're very led by fear. Maybe they're so anxious and they can't really have the ability to speak outside of the one topic they're so obsessed about that gives them anxiety. So these are just examples. I mean, they could be rude. I mean, we could go through the major obvious ones. They're not kind people. And so that's repelling. Right, I'm giving major white examples, but really it's about your vibe, and it's really about, again, if you're doing your own inner work, look at how you talk to yourself. I think if we go deep that way, look at how you go into relationship with you, because I think that is the most important relationship. Besides the one you have with a higher power, this one is the most important, because how you talk to yourself is what you allow more into your life. So if you talk to yourself, you criticize yourself, you put yourself down, you beat yourself up, then you're going to attract people who treat you just like that. And if you are in a relationship where you are speaking kindly to yourself, you have compassion for yourself, you can hold space for yourself and say, you know what, you tried your best and you can learn from your mistakes, and it's okay not to be perfect. When we speak to ourselves like we would to a loved one, whether that's our spouse or our best friend or a child, this is self-love. We have the capacity to love ourselves just as much, right? And I know that, a lot of my, my clients in both my professions, in the therapy profession, a lot of them beat themselves up. My current clients now, they doubt themselves a lot, like when they first come see me, and we need to shift some of that. And the doubt comes from more so lack of confidence, like in the putting themselves out there. But there's also some depth in that. Means there's some layers that to go peel back and go, you know what? You get to be yourself. You get to show up. And what happens is when here's what I love to say, if you are not polarizing your audience, you are not going bold enough, okay? Nobody wants vanilla. I'm sorry if you like vanilla ice cream or cake or whatever, but in real life, when it comes to providing value in the world, you want to show up. You want to show up in your own who you are, the way you would say it. Even if your message is very similar to someone else's, maybe you even do the same thing really, the way you show up, the way you deliver it, the way your energy is and how people feel you, that's what calls in. It's your soul speaking to your soul tribe, your soul members, those people that want to come more into your life, in your personal life or your professional life, as your clients, as your collaborators, whatever that looks like. That's the true magnetic factor.
Ooh, I love all of that. It's so good to have this conversation about just being a magnet. I find that such a powerful word, and we need to explore that more and talk about it, encourage it in everyday life as well as in business, because often we allow it for business, but then we're not really applying the magnetized mindset to our personal everyday lives, right?
Oh, and it's so important because we are the reflection of the 5 people we hang out with the most. Ooh. So are the 5 people you're surrounded by, are they are they thinking, and are they being, more importantly, who you want to become, or who are, in your own vibe, their own vibe, but you all have a very similar way of your conversations. They feel fulfilling, they feel uplifting, they feel inspiring, either cheerleaders, you're cheerleader for them. And if not, if you're surrounded by naysayers, here's the thing, you can do all the inner work, you can do all the growth, but if you are surrounded by naysayers, a negative environment where people don't believe in you, they're putting you down, they're continuing to challenge you, criticize you, unfortunately, environment always wins, and that is proven by research. Mm-hmm. So you surround yourself. And here's the other thing. You are not for everybody. So I know that as somebody's listening to this podcast, they might not be able to stand my voice or my energy. And I'm okay with that because it is not personal. In fact, I've had people come up to me. This is actually really interesting. I've had 2 clients come up to me, and one of them said, I have to apologize to you. I'm like, why? Because a year ago, when I had I did not know they even existed, this person saw me speak at an event and immediately decided, I don't like her. Something about her, I'm resisting. And so when she apologized to me, she realized it was because she wasn't ready to hear what I was delivering, which was truth. Right? I mean, there's multiple truths, but my truth. And now she really resonates with my truth. The other client also said the same thing. She said, I have to admit, I couldn't stand you 3 years ago. And now she can't get enough of me. So, sometimes it's people, you're going to say stuff that's going to really trigger people. That's not in your control. What's in your control is you stand up, you show up, you share your truth, and the people who are ready to receive it, ready to hear it, lean in more, and they're like, ooh, I need to hear more from Roz in this case, right? And so, yes, and there's going to be people who will never resonate with me. It's not personal. I am cool with that. Abundance mindset and embodying abundance is there is more than enough to go around. And that's also related to money too. Sometimes there's beliefs that if I make lots of money, that means someone else gets less. No, it does not work that way. The world doesn't work that way. Money comes to you, through you, and circulates around you, as well as now what are you going to do? What do you get to decide to do with this money? It can circulate wherever you want it to go.
Absolutely. And like that feeds directly into being a magnet and being unapologetically yourself, because the two and two coincide, don't they?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Like you have to know who you are. You have to know what your values are. So you have to have some honest conversations, like your come to Jesus moment with yourself, to understand how you want to have a business. Where are those values and what is important? Like your top 3 things. And they're different for each person, and that's okay. But only when you know and are connected to who you are and what you want as an outcome, then you will actually be a magnet for the right customers and their clients, right? And make the money and be a magnet, because you are magnetizing your own, identity, right?
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. It works this way too. So when you're a magnet, you're going to get a lot more visible and in business, and then lots of opportunities are going to come to you. So that's awesome. And not all these opportunities will be aligned. So recently, this is an example that happened literally like, I think it was yesterday. Somebody had reached out to me, someone's assistant reached out to me and saw me on a summit that I was speaking on, loved my vibe, and said, you might be a really good fit for this other summit that's coming up. So myself and the summit host got on a call. Loved her. However, I had already checked out her marketing and branding, and it was more corporate-y and more LinkedIn. Now, I'm very clear. I am more like Instagram and Facebook. That's where I jam, and I hate LinkedIn personally. Just because it feels really, really like constricted and boring. Maybe I'm not using it right, but I've not taken the time. But honestly, it's okay. So. As we were chatting, I put those aside and just kind of went, okay, like, let's see, and we decided based on, because I know my values, because I know my audience, who my soulmate clients are, that's what I'm also looking at is like, is this mutually a good fit? It has to be mutual. And based on just what their summit was about and who they were wanting to attract, I knew our tribes weren't the same. So I also wasn't sure if I would be providing value and bringing more people to them, and that their people would be a fit for me. But the value in that conversation was making a good connection, so that I also love to connect people. I have a gift to naturally connect people. I always joke, but I think it would be true. If I was not a spiritual business coach, I'd probably be a matchmaker. I'd probably have a dating business. I've match made a couple couples, and one's engaged and one's been married for quite a few years now, and has lovely children. So it's I also do the same in businesses. I'm very good at connecting people, and that's the gift. I said I'm more than happy to connect you with people, but your ability to say no as well to opportunities that are not aligned will help you manage your energy as well.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love your energy. And, if people are resonating with this conversation, what you're saying, your vibe, how can people get in touch with you and connect with you and be that money magnet with you and get into that fun, bold, and sexy?
Thanks, love. So I have my website, Rosalyn Fung, ROSALYN. It's like have some fun. Like I literally have the word fun in my last name. So
exactly.
It's so suiting for me. So FUNG.com. Now, I also would love people to come and play if they're really resonating. In my free Facebook group, it's called Magnetize and Monetize for coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs, where I give lots of high-value tips on how to magnetize, monetize, surprise, and leverage social media doing so. And then I have my podcast called Activate Your Soulgasmic Business, and you can find that pretty much on all podcast platforms. And I do have a free 5-day challenge coming up. It's called 5-Day Self-Promotion Challenge. So this is for coaches, healers, practitioners, light workers, leaders who are here. You're doing the work to help transform lives, that's you. Absolutely come and play in this. You're struggling with marketing yourself. You're struggling putting yourself out there. You're struggling, maybe you're not struggling with that, but you are struggling with actually understanding how to leverage social media. You're not converting. You're not bringing leads in and then converting them. Come and play in this free 5-day self-promotion challenge. I'm going to share with you how to soulfully sell, market, and sell yourself. So you can go to www.7, okay, so 7figureconfidence.com/challenge.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Rosalyn.
One more, sorry.
Yeah.
Instagram, Bold Sexy Warrior, is where people can connect with me as well.
Oh, fantastic. That's perfect. Thank you so much for giving that out and inviting people in and creating that safe place and that energy to let people lean into it, to really investigate how I can step into that and be an amazing magnet on all different facets of my life. And, I just appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, my love. This was fun. I really love sharing my wisdom, and I certainly hope that those who are listening really receive the downloads that they need to receive to take their next inspired action.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to have these authentic conversations, talking about different topics, giving us different, perspectives on it, and understanding like, hey, I maybe never thought of it that way, and that's really cool, and I really resonate with that, and I need more of that, or I need less of that. And it's just a fantastic way to be the best versions of ourselves and be the heroes of our lives. And just to recap what we talked about today, the difference of self-confidence and self-worth, how to redefine what fun, bold, and sexy means to ourselves and step into this mentality, what our belief systems are surrounding money, how can we embody the magnetized mindset, and how being a money magnet is directly linked to being unapologetically ourselves. And so that's all because of Roz coming on today and really sharing her passions and her purpose and her expertise, and I love it. Thank you so much. If you want to learn more about my consulting programs, purchase my book, or have me speak at your next event, visit blaisehunter.com. I do have a free offer as well for my listeners. Head to my website, the free offers tab. There is a video about how to map yourself back to peace and balance in the day when we're feeling overwhelmed and anxiety. I can lead you back through the map to arrive at a peaceful, balanced state, destination. Thanks again, Rosalyn, for coming on the show. That's it for this week's episode. Challenge yourself to be vulnerable, lean into the difficulties, and have those open conversations so we can rise up and be the heroes of our lives, and let us breathe fire together. If you've enjoyed this show, please subscribe and support Blaise the Trail podcast. Reviews are always welcome and very much appreciated. Thanks for listening. I'm Blaise Hunter.
You've been listening to Blaise the Trail with Blaise Hunter. To learn more about how you can breathe fire and unleash the hero within, or to listen to past episodes, visit blaisehunter.com.